And welcome to Brackets, Bubbles, and Bid Steelers Daily. Sam Fetterman, Jonathan Lidskin here. It is Sunday, February 26th, 2023. We are 2 weeks, 14 days away from a bracket in approximately 334 hours. I'll start. No.
Well, what a start to the show today.
They suck. I'll say that. I think every Fairfield fan, every Fairfield coach, every Fairfield player would admit that their team sucks compared to what they thought they would be.
Yeah.
All right, let's go over the games from today.
Yeah.
Let's start out in Peoria, where Bradley wins over Drake to win the Missouri Valley. But why is this bad for the Braves, Jonathan?
So the four teams that ended up getting a bye in the Missouri Valley are Bradley, who's the 1 seed, Drake is 2, Southern Illinois, who's had a very good year at 3, and then Belmont, who's new to the league, of course, at 4. Why it's bad is because the teams that are 5 through 8 are like the next tier of teams in the league, and then after 8 is really bad. But the 7 seed, Murray State, is significantly worse than the other teams seeded 5 through 8. So that's the team you wanted to draw. And Drake getting the 2 seed means they drew Murray State, which, by the way, no guarantee.
And the other interesting thing here is that Bradley has lost twice to Belmont.
Mm-hmm. Which,
and
like,
Belmont's the 4 seed.
it is hard to
Drake just beat Southern Illinois by a good margin. Yes, if you were in the press conference with Rick Pitino today, he talked about how hard it is to beat a team twice, 3 times, but whatever.
Yeah.
That's beside the point. Belmont is clearly confident that they can beat Bradley. Drake is clearly confident they can beat Southern Illinois. Drake can beat Belmont. I honestly think that's very possible in this conference tournament here.
Yeah, I'm also not entirely sure if Murray State's going to end up being the team that Drake plays. Murray State's got to go play Valpo again for the second time in 5 days, and both of those games, both were won by Murray State, but both of them went to overtime. So,
yeah, I mean, those are some interesting basketball teams right there. Let's talk about some of the other games that went on today. Let's go to Happy Valley, or not so Happy Valley, because Penn State is basically eliminated.
You think?
I mean, they really need to win at least one of the next 2 games, and then probably win 2 games in the Big Ten tournament.
They were the last team into the field prior to losing today. Obviously,
no, I didn't even have them in the next 4 out.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Was I wrong there? Should I have had them in?
I mean, just looking at their resume, not including today's game, they're 3-7.
Only 5 bracketologists in the bracket matrix had them in today.
Yeah. I would have been one of those if I was included in that. But 3-7 in quad 1, 4-4 in quad 2, no losses in quad 3 or 4. Avoiding those extremely bad losses was why I was a little higher on them.
Yeah, but what are their big wins?
Where you have teams like Arizona State, Michigan, USC. USC's in for me, so that is irrelevant. But teams like that have just disaster losses.
Yeah, but the issue with Penn State is their quad 1 wins are not good quad 1 wins. At Illinois back in December, home against Indiana. Okay, I'll give you that. And then Ohio State. Those are bad. Those are bad quad 1 wins.
Mm-hmm.
Not all quad 1 wins are created equal.
Are we sure the committee takes that into account?
Yeah. I also think the prevailing narrative around Penn State is that they can't win those big games.
If they get into a tournament and play and are like an 11 seed and play a 6 seed in the first round, I feel like that's going to be a team that a lot of people pick to upset a 6.
I mean, it's going to depend on the 6 seed, obviously. Let's talk also about Rutgers, too. Without Mawot Ma, Derek Simpson steps up big today, and the Scarlet Knights essentially lock their spot in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, that was a big win for them. Now, of the at-large teams in the field of 68, that's probably the team that I want to play the most out of maybe any team that's an at-large, just because of their injury problems. Listen, like Mawat Mag was in every single one of their good lineups. He was in their best two-man lineup, best three-man, best four-man, and best five. Like, whether you thought he was important or not, the numbers show he was the most important player for Penn State when it comes to on-off split margins. So they miss him. Grant, like they're still going to get in. Whether they're still an NCAA tournament caliber team without him is, I think, up for debate.
Yeah. We talked there about Penn State. UCLA escapes Boulder, and they do escape the mountain trip unscathed.
So let's go through the last couple years. The best team in the regular season of the Pac-12. Arizona lost in Colorado. USC lost at Colorado.
Okay, let's also preface that with saying 2021 Colorado was a top 10 KenPom team.
Yes.
So I don't think that's
Oregon in 2020 lost at Colorado. Washington in 2019 actually didn't lose at Colorado, but who was 2018? Who won the Pac-12 that year? Oh, Arizona. They did lose at Colorado. So historical trend, like Colorado's probably the toughest place, maybe outside of like Pauley.
Oh no, Colorado is, I believe, based on the metrics from KenPom, the toughest place to play in the country.
Yeah. So it's obviously
it's sixth now, behind 3 Big 12 places that are mostly just based on the fact that it's hard to win on the road in that league.
Yeah.
Air Force and Utah State, which I don't really buy, and Colorado.
Like the thing is, it's just not only just the fan base, but the altitude, right? Like this is why we talked about like our team's like going to want to try to avoid Denver in the first weekend of the NCAA tournament.
Yep. I said this about a couple weeks ago. I don't know if I said it on the show on a space, but I said it somewhere. I think the best teams are going to want to avoid Denver like it's the plague, because chaos happens in the altitude. If you're a Mountain West team
and you're used to playing in that,
if you're Boise State, if you're San Diego State, you want Denver. If you're Houston, if you're Alabama, you don't want to think about that. I don't think UCLA wants to go back there either.
No, and at this point you're looking at like an Arizona could potentially play there, Kansas State could potentially play there.
We have absolutely no idea what the locations are going to look like, except for the fact that Alabama's probably playing in Birmingham.
And so is Houston.
And Houston is probably going to play in Birmingham.
And
aside from that, we really don't have any clue. UConn might be in Albany.
Really random thought, but remember when Duke put in like those
Gonzaga might be in Sacramento.
Yeah, Duke put in preferences last year, and like everyone freaked out about it.
Everyone does this every year.
They literally all Duke said is like, "Oh, we would prefer to play in the East region." Well, no shit. Like
that's what they asked. The top 4
everyone
seeds.
lost their shit. Everyone lost.
That's what happens with the top 4 seeds. And by the way, Duke was not in the East region last year.
No, they were in the West, and they had to go out there, and they won 2 games anyway.
Yep. Where did they play their first 2 games?
They were in Greenville, South Carolina.
That's right.
One of my least favorite NCAA tournament sites in the country.
By the way, absolutely no idea why they go there. It's just terrible.
There's a bunch of random sites that are just like, why did they use them?
Yeah, I think
I specifically hate Greenville because they lost.
Hartford would be a better site than Albany in general.
The first weekend
Buffalo is a better site than Albany. Providence is a better site than Albany. Albany is. I don't like Albany.
You listened to my show this morning. I don't know if you heard this part.
Yeah, I did.
The first weekend sites are just really bad this year.
Yeah, they're really bad.
A lot of like small locations that are hard to get to.
I've been to Albany's arena. It's very like 2000s. Like it seems like it was built in like 2000 and hasn't been renovated since. Not that that's terrible. Like there's worse places to go.
Yeah,
It's not. It's a very Y2K type thing.
I haven't heard, or I should say I haven't been to Albany, outside of flying in there before driving to Cooperstown. But from what I've heard,
it's also there's no hotels.
Skyline looks nice, but I've heard it needs a little bit of cleaning up.
Yeah, I went there. I've been there a couple times. One of the cities that, if I had the choice, I wouldn't want to stay the night in and like just walk
Yeah,
around
I
in.
mean,
There,
it's
it's a small city too. It's under 100,000 people.
yeah, it's not likely that I end up like going to that site for the first weekend, but if I do, I would imagine I'd probably just stay in New York City.
Yeah, and that's a 2 hour, 2.5 hour drive from New
Yeah.
York City. Regardless of that, speaking of Albany, Siena comes to New Rochelle and loses by 33 to Iona. By 33, 93 to 60. That game was tied for the first 9 seconds. Danis Jenkins hit a pull up from the left wing for two, and Iona never trailed. It never was tied. Iona led 17-4 in the first 5 minutes. Iona led 42-14.
Yeah, just a couple of like there's two sides of this game obviously. One, Iona's playing its best basketball at the best time of the year, right? Like they're playing their best basketball when they need to be. And
Yeah,
two, Siena won their Super Bowl at home against Iona and just literally it feels like they don't even care about the rest of their season.
yeah, they won that Super Bowl. It was a very emotional game with the passing of Michael Bear's father and Evan Franz, and then they went and beat Marist. They're 2-5 since then. It's just really not what you would ask for Carm Massarello and this Saints team. It's a talented group, but without Jared Billups today, that's their tweener. He's the guy. He's not. Rick Pitino said it's not a guy you change the game plan around, but he's a guy that changes Siena's game plan. Siena had to go to the two big lineup with Eduardo Lane and Jackson Stormo, who had played one possession together before this game, and it just straight up didn't work. And they went away from it. They get a lot of they had to get a lot of minutes out of Killian Gribben, a lot of minutes out of Sven Virgisen. They had to get a lot of minutes out of guys that really shouldn't be getting as many minutes. I want to know what the situation is going to be with Billups. He's day to day, but their MAC tournament hopes really hinge on that. They need Billups.
Yeah.
Elsewhere in the MAC, Canisius is one of the hottest teams in the league. 4 wins out of 5. Their offense is clicking. TJ Gadsden has been great. Taj Stavesky has been great recently. They picked up a win today over Fairfield. And Canisius is a little bit dangerous because with that Reggie Witherspoon continuity offense, you never really know what you're getting. They can move the ball, and they're starting to put the ball in the basket a lot more. They're not a team that I would particularly want to see in Atlantic City.
Yeah,
If I'm Iona in that second round in that quarterfinal game, I don't want Canisius to be the 8-9 winner.
yeah, that's something you obviously told me earlier. Winners of 4 out of 5 to end the season. The big one coming
Well,
at
not to end the season. Not to end the season.
or recently, then the regular season, I should say.
Nope, not to end the regular season.
Oh my God, they have one more game, don't they? They have
2
one
more.
more
No,
weekend.
Canisius has one more game. They play Niagara on Saturday.
Yeah, they have one more weekend. This league is not done.
Yeah, it's not done. It's a
But
second weekend type thing it's a second
yeah,
championship.
they changed. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they changed their championship time, didn't they?
Yes, 7:30.
That's very weird.
It's not good, but it helps me. It helps me because I can get to a couple places now.
Yeah, that makes sense. You're Ivy on Saturday too,
Yeah,
right?
regardless of that, Providence today absolutely whips the fuck out of Georgetown.
Right after you told me that they play most teams close.
Well, Georgetown does play most teams pretty close in the first half.
They will lose to Villanova by 20 in the first round of the Big East
If
tournament.
they're if Georgetown let's put a spread on the first half of that game. I'll take Georgetown plus 10.
Villanova -10.
Minus 10.5 for the first half
I'll take it.
for $1.
Yeah, I'll write it down right now.
All right, write it down. I'm
If,
taking
if they play, Villanova has to beat the Hall this week, I think.
I'll take Georgetown plus 10.5 for the first half.
All right, hold on. I got to go to the conference tournament section. Oh, I won both our random games that we bet on.
I'm so mad about that, and I'm mad that I have Virginia Tech over Miami.
Villanova -10.5 versus Georgetown. First half. First half, $1.
And also, now that I have Florida over Mississippi State, right?
You have Florida over Mississippi State, New Mexico over UNLV. Oh, I hope those
Can
teams.
that void without Castleton?
Is he out for the year?
Yeah.
Can it void?
Yeah, like the bet is off because Castleton's out.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean that we can't count that.
Okay.
I have Queens over Bellarmine. I think that might be happening.
Michigan over Illinois in the Big Ten standings is so live.
Wait, oh my God! Michigan picked up the win today. They're one game ahead of Illinois, and they play each other this week.
That's for $10. And by the way, we agreed. I don't think I wrote this down, but we agreed that if they tied, if they play in the conference tournament, that's who wins the bet.
Yep. Regardless of that, let's talk about the Wolverines, who are on a surge.
3 in a row.
I think
Six out of the last 8.
They've won a couple really solid games in a row.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
that's 3 straight wins, including quad 1 at Rutgers.
If they had closed out that game against Indiana, I think we might be talking a little differently about them.
And if they'd closed out that game where they didn't allow a field goal in the last 10 minutes to Wisconsin, they would be they would probably be in the tournament right now. That would be a 4th quad 1 win. They'd be 4-9.
Yeah.
And that loss to Central Michigan looms so large right now. It's the quad 4 loss because you cannot afford these quad 4 losses. You simply cannot. That's what's going to, if Michigan doesn't make the NCAA tournament, the quad 4 loss is going to be what keeps them out because Michigan only has 1 loss in quads 2 and 3.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a disappointing year to say the least.
And by the way, that was Arizona State at a neutral site who can absolutely make their way into quad 1.
Yeah, they're pretty close, I want to say.
They're 59.
So,
it's tough, but it could happen.
It's been a disappointing year for them overall, but it's hard to look at the way they're playing right now and not think, oh, this team can get in and get to the Sweet 16 again.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. Kobe Buffkin looks great. Doug McDaniel looks great. These are 2 really solid guards that they have. They did this today without Jet Howard. Overall, I think Michigan, they're not well coached. They're not well coached whatsoever. Juwan Howard's not a good basketball coach. But they're talented. They're very talented. And they're talented enough to the point where Juwan isn't awful. He's not good.
No, he's a top 75 coach.
Yeah, he's a good player manager.
Yeah, and he gets good, and he's able to get good players.
Yeah, I think Michigan is talented. They can win 2 games in the NCAA tournament if they get the right draw.
Yeah, like Hunter has been good all year.
Hunter's an all-American.
Yeah, he hasn't been the national player of the year like I thought he was going to be, but certainly an All-American. I think the key for them down the stretch is that McDaniel and Buffkin have really started to come on late. They've been playing really well, both of them.
Yeah. All right, here's a question. Who is the lock to win the ACC tournament on the men's side? There's no lock.
I lean Miami because they're going to get a double bye.
There's no lock, but I'm going to go with Duke.
I was between Miami and Duke. I lean Miami right now because they have a double bye. I don't know off the top of my head how the draw unfolds, but I think they're going to be on different sides of the bracket.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a good final.
Yeah, that would be excellent.
Again, the fact that I have Virginia Tech Miami is really disappointing.
Like I'm hesitant to say that UNC could go on a run, but they certainly could make shots for 4 straight days. What I'm really hoping is that UNC and Syracuse play on the second day of the ACC tournament.
Interesting.
That would be fun.
Hold on, let me take a look at the A-Sun bracket. Okay, no, we don't get Queens and Bellarmine, and they would only meet if it's the final. Wait, no, because they reseed. They would only meet if it's the final.
Who is the one you're looking at? Bellarmine over Queens?
Yeah.
Oh, Queens is better than them.
Well, neither of them are any good, and they're not going to play each other.
Probably not.
All right. Hold on, give me a second. For $1,
Michigan State over half an NCAA tournament win.
I have the under there.
Under 1.5 Final Four teams correct between Jeff Goodman and John Rothstein.
I don't know, man. That could
Dude,
come.
I know there's going to be some random conference tournament. Dude, I know for a fact that Indiana's going to win the Big Ten tournament. They're both going to pick them to go to the Final Four.
No. Goodman's going to pick them to win the whole thing.
I cannot believe he tweeted that Kevin Willard and Kenny Payne inherited the same situation.
That was funny. That was really funny. Let's talk more about what happened today. Let's talk about the A10. Davidson over Duquesne at the Bluff.
Yeah, Davidson's been another team for me that I think had a disappointing year. I actually really liked the transfers that they added, but I think it might be pretty clear actually that it's just like they don't have Bob McKillop anymore, and like they have his son, but it's not Bob McKillop.
Yeah, but look, they've won 3 games in a row. St. Joe's, St. Bonaventure, Duquesne. They'll probably win their next 2 against George Washington and Rhode Island. They could go into this conference tournament 9-9, having won 5 games in a row. And you know what? I still don't really want to play them because if they get hot, look at Foster Loyer. He's one of the best guards in that conference. Sam Menenga, he can really play. They've got a lot of guys that can really play.
Yeah,
And they haven't shot well at all this year, but this is still a talented shooting team.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to play Davidson if they're hot.
It's just too bad. They could go on a run to win the league and they wouldn't get a bid anyway, right? 0 bid league.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. The only team that can get a bid out of that league is Fordham.
Yeah, I mean,
that's only because Keith Ergo has seen the 0 bid league tweets and called.
We haven't talked about them all year, but I still would not want to play Dayton in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, Dayton is weirdly a mid-major's nightmare in a mid-major conference that hasn't been very good in it.
Mm-hmm.
They're super long, they're super athletic, they defend really well, and they're well coached. The issue is they cannot shoot one bit. They're like if TCU's best players were big men.
That's fair.
Well coached, long, athletic, but can't shoot.
Yep. You think that there's the best team in the conference, or VCU?
I don't know.
I'm out on St. Louis.
Yeah, I'm totally out on St. Louis. Dayton and VCU split. I think VCU defensively is really good, but I think Dayton has a higher ceiling offensively.
These are both teams I could see winning a game in the NCAA tournament.
Dayton actually has the best offense, and they actually are the number 1 3-point shooting team in the A10 during conference play. I did not realize the fact that they are shooting 38% during conference play from deep.
I didn't know either. That's pretty incredible.
So that actually makes me a lot more confident in them. I don't know how I didn't know that.
Well, more you know.
Yeah, good for them. I mean, Amsil is shooting 36% from 3. Kobe Brea is shooting 42% from 3. Even Tumani Kamara is shooting 33%. They got a lot of dudes that can shoot a little. And they do have a healthy Malachi Smith now. It's not the Malachi Smith that we expected, but it's a healthy Malachi Smith nonetheless. And he's a guy that can be on the court for them. He had 8 assists and 1 turnover against UMass on the 22nd, which was Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, Mally was a guy that me and you thought could be maybe a top 100 player in the country.
And by the way, I still think he can next year.
Yeah, I mean,
in terms of playmaking, he's one of the best playmakers in the country.
You could kind of chalk it up as they just kind of got a little unlucky this year.
They got really unlucky with how the season started for them. They were injured with Holmes and Kamara and everyone was hurt. They've played 3 fully healthy games. Malachi's been hurt. They've all been hurt. It's kind of like Wyoming, where they've all been hurt.
Yeah, except they don't have any players anymore.
And the issue and the thing with Dayton is, yeah, Holmes might be gone, but I don't see any of their players transferring up.
No, I don't think any of them had really good enough years to like justify that. Maybe
And I
Tumani.
maybe Kamara. And if Holmes and all, there's a decent chance Holmes doesn't go to the draft. I've seen his draft stock slipping.
Interesting.
I would fall for them again.
I think I would too.
I wouldn't have them in my top 15, but I'd have them in my top 30.
Yeah. No. Top 15 is probably out of the question.
And by the way, I still think that was good process.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. They were all freshmen last year.
Except for Tumani, who was a sophomore. And if
So,
Tumani could be gone, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And either way, even that whole thing, I like a lot of players on that Dayton team individually. They just haven't come together and played healthy yet.
Yeah, we'll see.
Memphis. What do we think?
They
Are
beat
they in?
Cincinnati today, right?
Are they in?
I think I have them last 4 in, maybe last 4 buys right now.
Yeah, I think Memphis is in. I had them.
Like, listen, I think they can, as long as like these bubble teams don't just start going berserk and winning games, like they're probably getting in. Just avoid disaster the last couple weeks. Get to the conference tourney final. I actually do think they're going to beat Houston next week at home.
Yeah, just
So-
don't lose at don't lose at Moody. Don't lose by 40 to Houston.
Mhm.
And then make the conference tournament final, and they'll be safe.
Yeah.
But if they lose at Moody and they don't make the conference tournament final, there's almost no chance they get it.
Yeah, out. Did you see the whole Doc Holliday video
No.
like last week?
No.
He basically like Jeff Goodman asked a question on I think on After Dark and basically said like, is Penny the right guy at Memphis? Very valid question. And Doc Holliday just made this video absolutely ripping into him, saying like, oh, Penny's record's this and this and this. Has there been 1 year in Penny Hardaway's coaching career at Memphis where he's overachieved?
No.
Yeah.
No, he's absolutely underachieved pretty much every single year he's
So,
been
like-
there. It's the thing is, he brings in so much talent to a mid-major league that people think he's a good coach just because he's got good teams.
And next year they're going to be the overwhelming favorite in the league.
And they're probably going to win the league.
Listen, I don't know what they're bringing back, and I don't know
depending on what Temple and Tulane do.
I don't know.
Oh no! Wait, FAU's in the league next year.
Yeah, but they're pretty old
North
team.
Texas is in the league next year.
That's one to watch.
UAB is in the league next year.
So here's the thing with them.
They're adding 3 teams that are probably better than just about anybody.
The thing with Memphis is though, for next year specifically,
Charlotte and Rice, I think too.
Charlotte's not terrible.
Charlotte's 102 in the net, I think.
But the thing is with Memphis, I don't know who they're losing, but if they're gonna
lose DeAndre Williams.
If they're gonna rely on Mikey Williams and JJ Taylor, they're not winning that conference.
Who cares? All right, we'll talk about that on April 4th.
Off track.
By the way, like April 4th, we have to do a full preview.
Dude, just wait till the week after the Elite Eight, when the entire week you're not even thinking about the Final Four. You're just thinking about off-season stuff.
Yeah, because everyone's entered the portal.
Yep, and coaches are getting fired.
We already have some coaches fired.
A lot, actually.
So did you hear Rick Pitino's comments about the MAC today? It was the 130,000th time that he said this.
No, I didn't.
I love coaching at Iona. I love the players. I hate being in a one-bid league. Which essentially means he's taking Walt, DJ, and Nelly to St. John's.
And they probably be a tournament team, barring a couple other pieces that they add.
And I really think that, like, I haven't said this publicly anywhere, but Iona could be bad next year. Like, bad.
If they lose those guys and Rick, like...
Because it wouldn't just be those guys transferring. It'd probably be a lot of guys.
Yeah, I mean, like, you would think Barrick leaves, right? Does Slazinski have any eligibility left?
Slazinski has a year, but Rick loves him.
Maybe he goes to St. John's too.
Who knows at this point? Either way, it would be his second time transferring. So who
remember
knows?
last
Him and Barrett could probably stay because it would be their second time transferring.
remember last year when Shaheen left for St. Peter's and everyone said all of those players were going to follow him to Seton Hall, and then it took like everyone 10 minutes to realize that he had one player that could play at Seton Hall.
Matthew Lee, the 5'0" point guard who was a role player in the MAC. Yeah, he's gonna go to Seton Hall and compete with 6'6" athletic 5-star Kadari Richmond for the point guard spot.
Clarence Richmond is averaging like 3 points a game with Southern Illinois.
Rupert. And by the way, these are guys I love. I love these guys. They gave our league so much respect. Mm-hmm. But come on, man. KC is the only one that was Daryl. Daryl could have played in the Big East.
Yeah, and
Daryl Banks, by the way, dropped 36 for St. Bonaventure today.
KC's probably going to win Defensive Player of the Year in the Big East, right? Who is?
It's going to be Kalkbrenner.
I think KC's been better defensively than him.
I don't know. Could be. No, it's going to be Andre.
Yeah, probably.
It could be Andre Jackson.
Defensive Player of the Year should go to a big every single year.
I agree, but I don't agree. I'm not totally sure if I agree.
When National Defensive Player of the Year started, they give a guard the
National Player of the Year should go to a big. Speaking of which, who is your National Defensive Player of the Year? Honestly, I don't know if it's a big. I think it might be a wing.
Who do you think it is? I think honestly, like one of the Tennessee guys, probably.
I think Jalen Clark or maybe Julian Phillips.
Yeah, I was gonna say Julian. I was gonna say Julian or honestly Josiah Jordan James if he didn't get hurt.
I think what we've seen in college basketball recently is that it's more important to have an elite perimeter defense that can suppress high quality threes and chase shooters around screens than it is to have one guy that just blocks a lot of shots.
Yeah.
If you have both, you're
a top 5 defense in the country.
If you have both, I mean, has there been like a top team that's had both? Gonzaga last year. That's like it.
So I have a question for you then. If you think that 3-point defense and being able to get through screens and contest shots on the perimeter is so important.
Tennessee can't score, so
you knew exactly where I was going.
Well, yeah,
but they kind of can when Josiah Jordan James is healthy.
Yeah,
their offense is all like pin downs to him, and like when he was hurt, they were trying to run all their pin downs to Vescovi, who isn't strong enough to play off.
Here's what I like. Alabama and Houston are the second and third best 3-point defenses in the country. UCLA is 28th. UCLA is 28th.
Okay.
28th, by the way, is still really freaking good.
Mm-hmm.
More importantly, Alabama suppresses threes. It's not just about teams don't take. It's not about teams don't make threes. It's teams don't
not them taking them.
Houston suppresses high quality threes and has the number 1 block rate in the country with the number 15 steal rate in the country.
And would it be crazy if I told you they were better offensively than they were defensively?
It's okay if you don't understand the question. That doesn't mean that nobody knows the answer.
There you go. That has been setting my drafts for the last 2 weeks. I cannot wait.
Oh boy, that's such a great line.
I need to like go back and find I'm just gonna spend like Tuesday just like searching on Twitter like
no we're gonna spend Tuesday doing the 2023-24 preview show.
No, like this Tuesday. I'm gonna spend this upcoming Tuesday just searching up like no elite teams.
Well, I mean, I don't think people agree with that yet. I think there's still a fuck ton of people that think there's no elite teams.
No, that's what I'm saying. I need to find the receipts.
Oh, you need to find them. Yeah. Illinois down to Ohio State today. Is
I have
Ohio State as bad as they've been made out to be?
probably not.
What do you think about Illinois?
They're a really talented basketball group that cannot put it together or even come close to
Yeah, I like how you said it. They're a really talented basketball group. They're not a really talented basketball team.
it.
They,
There are a bunch of really good individual players that I don't think have really bought into a lot of the stuff there.
and that's the thing. Like, Brad Underwood is not on the hot seat. He's not.
I mean, close.
But this is a bad year for him. A really bad year.
He's okay. He's okay. He's recruiting well. I think he kind of
He's
realized that,
recruiting
like,
well. But how many more years does he get before you put him on the hot seat? I say 2.
I mean, he just won the Big Ten regular season title last year, and he won the Big Ten tournament.
But they were a 5 seed.
Who cares?
They underperformed. They still underperformed.
That was good.
They underperformed last year.
I don't think so.
I think they absolutely underperformed last year.
5 seed, dude. That's a top 20 team in the country.
But like they underperformed. They had arguably the best player in the country.
And Kofi,
he was one of the best players in the country
dude,
last year.
Kofi was one of the biggest liabilities that nobody ever talked about.
He was one of the best players in the country.
Illinois had to play drop coverage because Kofi couldn't guard anyone on ball screens.
Yeah, and that was one of the best players in the country. Zach Edey's one of the best players in the country.
He does a lot more than Kofi did.
Yeah, but Zach Edey's also a lot better than Kofi.
I thought that Illinois was good last year. I thought they got a.
I thought they were good. I thought they were extremely uninspiring in being good.
They got a.
And they
got a really shitty drop the second year in a row.
If they don't make the Sweet 16 this year, next year, the year after, you got to put them on the hot seat.
Illinois will be in a Final Four in the next 5 years.
What's more likely? Brad Underwood's gone in 5 years?
Final Four?
Or they go to the Final Four in 5 years?
Final Four.
I don't think I agree with that.
I'm pretty confident in saying that.
I don't know if I agree with that.
With the amount of good players that they pull in, I would be shocked.
I don't think I agree with that. I don't think Brad Underwood is that good. I really don't think he's that good of a coach.
For some reason, all I can think about right now is the Illinois "Here comes the pain" Rothstein phrase going sideways for some reason.
Look. Here's the thing. They have a lot of good basketball players every year, but they've only had 1 year where they were actually a truly, like, they played to their talent. They've only had 1 year where they played to their talent.
You don't think in 2020 they played to their talent?
Okay, 1 year in the last 3 that they played to their talent.
Okay.
But 2020 is weird because COVID.
Listen, the transfer experiment doesn't work for everyone. Like, it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
2022 Texas.
And I think that's something that Brad probably figured out this year, and something that.
But also, like, he needs, like, we need to see him. Like, we've seen him develop a couple guys.
Yeah, their development's a little inconsistent.
We've also seen him turn Andre Curbelo and Sky Clark, who are highly
Eastern Michigan players.
Yeah, into Eastern Michigan. Andre Curbelo is the laughingstock of the Big East.
Andre Curbelo will be playing somewhere next year in the state of Michigan.
He will be playing in Puerto Rico.
Come on.
He will be playing with Alfonso Plummer again. And Alfonso Plummer is like 30 years old.
Oh, let's go. I finally got my email about the MVC coaches call tomorrow.
Nice. Speaking of which, let me check my email because I still haven't gotten my MAC credential.
They're gonna deny you.
They're really gonna deny me. They're gonna make me pay $10 for that ticket that nobody goes to.
They're going to deny the guy that covers them the league more than anyone else in the
Speaking of
country.
which, I already got my Albany credential, and Albany I got it within 3 hours of it being submitted, and
Yeah.
Albany is hosted by the MAC.
I think I'm going to end up going to Greensboro. We'll see.
What else do we want to talk about?
Oh
my God! How could I forget?
What?
We have conference tournament.
Oh, right. I've
do it.
started writing down all my. I'm sure you've seen my Twitter. I've been starting to do all my.
Yep. I am so excited to see this. Where are those tweets with the brackets? Let me find them because I want to talk.
Yeah, I mean, you could just pull up my bracket.
No, because there's a thread that has like all of them in one format. I don't know who.
It's Field of 68.
It's Field of 68, but I'm not gonna show the Field of 68 because I don't like the Field of 68.
Why? No, they're good.
They're good. I don't like Jeff Goodman.
They have so much. They have so much content. Listen, like good. As much crap as we give Goodman, sometimes he makes some really good points.
No, yeah, I agree.
Like he's going to be so right about Kentucky next year, and everyone's going to lose their mind.
What is his take about Kentucky next?
That Wagner and Dillingham won't be able to play together, which I entirely agree
All
with.
right, let's talk conference tournaments.
The A-Sun, where the number 2 seed is minus like 450 to win the league.
I think we can say they're minus 450 for good reason. Richie McKay just got extended. Look, Amir Abdur-Rahim is a National Coach of the Year type coach. It's Amir Abdur-Rahim, Keith Ergo, Ray Stores. Like, those are the National Coach of the Year type guys.
Jerome Tang,
yeah, he's up there. But I don't care about the high majors.
Okay.
Brad Underwood.
What is wrong with you?
I'm going to take Liberty to win this. I think it's going to be pretty comfortable, too. I think.
Yeah, I mean, if they're playing at their best, they're like as good as most of the ACC. So
Peak Liberty would win the ACC.
That's not true.
Okay, maybe not win.
I'm sorry.
But they get a double bye.
Peak Liberty is like a top 5 or 6 team in the ACC.
Peak Liberty gets a double bye in the ACC.
Yeah. Okay.
Marshall, like, there's some really great mid-major backcourts. New Mexico's got a great one. Iona's got a great one. Marshall is one of those with Camden Kerfman, Andrew Taylor, and the great Tavion Kinsey.
So it's hard with Marshall's talent not to pick them to win the Sun Belt. There's like these other 3 teams that have double byes here are good, but with the talent Marshall has, it's hard not to pick them.
Yeah, it's really hard not to pick them. And I'm not saying this because I don't like Southern Miss. I think Southern Miss is great. I think Felipe Haas. What'd you say?
Good team, Southern Miss.
Yeah, I think Southern Miss is a really solid team. And I think James Madison is a really solid team. But I think just the talent that Marshall has with Dan D'Antoni there, it's too much. It's too much. And they don't shoot the ball particularly well, but Camden Kerfman shoots the ball really well.
Yeah. They also just lost to Old Dominion, so like maybe looking for some revenge there in the quarterfinals. And I think the fact that I think Louisiana is the 4th best team in the league. So I also
think sometimes that losing right before the conference tournament can be a good thing.
Yeah.
It lets you reset. Yeah, Holy Cross is winning the league. Yes, obviously.
Bucknell's the 10th seed? What happened to them?
I don't remember hearing about them at all. I just remember.
But they've been such a good program recently.
No, they haven't.
They were in the NCAA tournament like a couple years ago.
And?
What has happened to the Bucknell program?
There were a lot of teams that were in the NCAA tournament a couple years ago. Hartford?
That's true.
Colgate will run away with this conference tournament. Maybe not quite the way Vermont did in the AE last year, but it's not. They'll win.
You mean they're not going to win every game by 25?
No, 36. Yeah, they're going to win this league. All right. I think I have a hot take here.
Who are you picking? Northern Kentucky?
Fuck you!
I'm not picking Northern Kentucky
How did you know?
because that seems to be the trendy pick in the Horizon League.
Is it the trendy pick? Everybody's picking Youngstown or Cleveland.
No, I've seen a couple guys picking Northern Kentucky today.
Look, the thing about Northern Kentucky is they have Marquise Warwick, they have Sam Vinson, they have a talented team. Xavier Rhodes can really play, Faulkner can really play, and I know that they can. I know that they're pretty well coached. Darren Horn is a good coach. He coached at South Carolina, he coached at Western Kentucky, he brought them to the Sweet 16, and he's done a great job at Northern Kentucky. I think Youngstown State cannot stop a nosebleed. Northern Kentucky, I believe, Northern Kentucky has the best defense in the Horizon League. And Northern Kentucky split with Youngstown State. I think Northern Kentucky, by the way, this reseeds. Northern Kentucky will beat Youngstown State and they will win the Horizon League.
I'm going to be honest. All I really care about in this tournament is that Detroit wins that first game.
I kind of want them to lose it so we have some reason to pay attention to the CBI.
I don't need a reason to pay attention to the CBI. Patelis has given me enough of a reason.
Tony Patelis. Do you think that's his real name?
50-50.
50-50.
We find out it's just Jeff Goodman.
I would not be surprised, by the way, if that's just Jeff Goodman's burner.
Can you imagine you wake up one day and just Jeff Goodman's tweeted something random about CBI bracketology from his main account?
Again, I wouldn't be surprised if that's Goodman's burner or if it's Eric Haslam's burner.
I like how every month and a half he just randomly tweets Douster blocked me again.
All right. St. Mary's Gonzaga. Somehow St. Mary's got the number 1 seed.
Yeah, higher in net.
Which I don't like.
Yeah, probably not.
Then again, both they split with each other. They both lost to Loyola Marymount, and that was their only other loss, which would mean coin flip in most leagues.
Let me just say that this right here is how every conference mid-major league should do their conference tournament.
This right here is the best way to get the best teams in.
Yep.
It is also the worst possible thing that a mid-major league should do.
Why?
8 teams, campus sites, reseed. 8 teams, campus sites, reseed.
I'm fine with this because they're
this
clearly
is fine.
They're clearly trying to get their best teams in.
This is fine. I don't think it should be this rigged for the best teams. 8 teams in a 10, 11, 12 team league. 10 teams in a 14, 15, 16 team league.
When Iona loses to Fairfield the quarterfinals, you're gonna regret this statement.
Fairfield is probably getting the 7.
I just was naming a team I know was kind of middle of the pack to the end of the MAC.
Fairfield sucks.
We started the show with that.
Yeah.
How are we coming back to Fairfield?
You brought them up. All right. CAA. Everyone that doesn't have a double bye, aside from Drexel and Delaware,
is terrible.
Is like
Delaware. Yeah, Delaware's all right.
Well, Drexel's solid too. Is horrendously bad.
Hofstra and Charleston are both going to win their quarterfinal games by 25 plus.
Yeah.
And Hofstra's winning this. Hofstra's winning the tournament.
Hofstra's winning this tournament. Hofstra is the best player in this league. They might have the best coach in this league.
Yeah.
I honestly think you could make the argument for Martin Inglesby in there.
I mean, with the Notre Dame rumors, you certainly probably
Pat
could.
Kelsey, Pat Scarry, Takayo Siddle, Speedy Claxton, Martin Inglesby are all really damn good coaches.
Yeah, I mean,
King Rice is a good coach too.
It's a good, well-coached league.
King Rice is a good coach, except Monmouth sucks because they have no new because they're all freshmen.
Yeah, but I'll take Hofstra, best player, maybe best coach. I think you hit it on the head with that one.
I'm pretty confident I
Oh,
know.
my favorite league.
I'm pretty confident I know who's winning this league.
Is it going to be somebody that's not eligible for the
Yeah,
NCAA tournament?
it's Merrimack. Look, Merrimack could play their walk-ons in the quarterfinals and win. The difference between drawing St. Francis, which, by the way, they're horrible.
Oh, awful.
Difference
Everyone in this league's
The
terrible.
difference between drawing the Terriers and drawing the Sharks. Oh, man. LIU sucks. Merrimack and Jordan Minor. By the way, I'd love to see Stonehill in this tournament. Andrew Sims is good. Chris Kraus is an excellent coach.
I'm rooting for Fairleigh.
Merrimack will win this conference tournament.
I agree with you. But
by the way, the best player in this league is Josh Cohen at St. Francis of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, he is.
I would like to see him do something. But Merrimack, with that zone, it's like nobody's ever seen a zone in this league. It's hilarious to watch.
I mean,
the Warriors.
We basically used to get to see that every year when Jim Boeheim made the NCAA tournament. So
Merrimack will win this conference tournament. Jordan Minor will be a household name in about 6 households in the country.
Wow, that was just. We have to clip that.
I'm sorry, that was. We already talked a little bit about the MVC. I think we both think Drake's gonna win.
Yeah, Drake wins. Southern Illinois could push him.
By the way, somebody clipped that last quote because Jonathan said to.
About 6 households in the country.
Yeah, Drew Pember's the best player in this league.
I'm thinking Winthrop.
That's a deep sleeper here.
Mm-hmm.
I could see one of the teams in the 4-5 game upsetting Asheville. I could.
Gardner Webb. They need some money this year.
Radford.
Great. You should be rooting for Winthrop in the first round.
Go. Wait. Eagles.
Winthrop was really good in 2021.
Yeah, that's my I will never predetermine my upsets again.
Nova.
Nova.
I did the same thing. Stupid freaking Big East teams that I picked to lose in the first round every year.
Did you pick UCSB that year?
And then Providence last year.
I think we all picked UCSB to win that year.
They should have won. They were better.
I'm still hurting the New Mexico State Auburn one.
Yeah, and then Bruce Pearl won a.
Was that? I don't remember if it was 18 or 19.
19. It was.
Yeah.
I was watching that game in Spanish class. I remember.
I'm still hurting that about that one because I loved that New Mexico State team. I don't love this New Mexico State team. By the way, they got to find a new coach.
Well, no, they're just going to let Xavier Pinson coach.
I'm taking Asheville.
I'm taking Winthrop.
Mouth Bob.
I mean, they're going to be favored by 10 points in every game in this tournament.
I think St. Thomas is the second best team in this league.
Over SDSU?
Yeah.
I'd probably take SDSU because of Zeke.
I mean, Rhodes pretty good.
Future Kansas Jayhawks Zeke Mayo.
Rhodes pretty good too. There's some really solid guards in this league. There's high major guards. There's 3 high major guards, and then there's Grant Nelson in this league.
If Oral Roberts loses in this tournament,
there's gonna be people calling for them to get an at-large.
I'm gonna tweet and just say, "Is Oral Roberts still a Sweet 16 team?"
Oral Roberts, if they lose, it would be a
they shouldn't get that large. They're the same situation that UNC is.
Hold on. It would be a quad 3 loss. They would have 1 quad 2 win, 0 quad 1 wins, and a quad 3 loss. They have played 17 games against quad 4 opponents. They've beaten most of them pretty handily. I'll give them that. They also played 4 games against non-Division 1 teams.
I mean, if Oral Roberts lost the conference championship to South Dakota
And
State,
by the way, I don't blame Oral Roberts for the schedule this year. The fact that the only quad 1 games that they could
no,
play
I mean,
were
hey,
against mid-majors
they
because
got
no high major wanted to see them.
they got Houston to schedule them, and Houston beat them by 40.
No high major wanted to play this team. And I don't blame a single high major for that.
Mhm.
Sorry, and I don't blame Oral Roberts for that because that's not their fault. Everyone knew they were going to be good. They weren't going to get an MTE. It stinks. It's unfortunate. Oral Roberts got hosed. I think overall, like they did not play a single team from a power conference.
Yeah, I mean, why would anyone schedule that?
Again, most teams will get at least one game against a power conference team. Even the really good ones, because they'll get an MTE.
They played Houston and St. Mary's, right? Those were their 2 big ones.
Yep. Oral Roberts didn't even get an MTE. That was what hurt them.
Mhm.
They didn't have their big win was Liberty, and that was a really good win. That's a really good win. That's a
Yeah.
quad 2 home win. Oh, and they played New Mexico too. And the only reason they played New Mexico is because New Mexico's game against New Mexico State was canceled.
Yeah.
So Oral Roberts' game against South Dakota was canceled. So they needed a game to play. So they just decided, yeah, we're going to go to the pit on 2 weeks' notice and play this undefeated team at the time.
Mhm.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
Mouth Bob should win this pretty handily.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's talk SoCon. I
Well-
love UNC Greensboro,
I know you do.
but Furman has probably the 2 best players in this league.
Yeah, they do.
With Jake Stevens injured.
Listen, they've underachieved a little bit.
Have they?
Based on where I had them in the preseason, they did a little bit.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, where are they? They're 89th in.
Yeah, they were like a borderline top 70 team for me.
They're 89th. I had them 74. That's really not underperforming.
My expectations were probably a little too high.
When it
but-
comes to 15 KenPom spots for a mid-major like this,
Mhm.
that's not underperforming. Maybe
Good.
I expect.
Good.
I also maybe I expect them to beat Old Dominion in the in that MTE in Myrtle Beach, I think it was.
Mhm.
No, that was was that the Virgin Islands? No, that was Charleston.
Furman, yeah, they
lost to Penn State.
They lost to Penn State in the first round. I remember watching that game.
Yeah, me too. I also remember watching Penn State Clemson. That was not in Charleston, but for some reason I thought it was.
That was probably Big Ten ACC Challenge, was it not?
It was.
Yeah, but Furman's a good team. Wouldn't want to see them if I was a 14 or 13 seed, but this is not an easy
a 3
league.
or 4 seed.
Huh?
You mean a 3 or 4 seed?
Yes. If Furman is a 13 or 14 seed, wouldn't want to see them.
Yeah, I think just overall we've gone through the top all the conference tournaments that have their brackets out right now. Just make sure that there's nothing else to do.
God, all the Youngstown fans found my tweet of saying they're going to win the Horizon League.
Well, I hope they don't find mine saying they're not.
Yeah.
Anything
else?
Anything else you want to close with?
Any comments
Best
that we
seed to lose in round 1 of March Madness, the 16. 16 seeds always lose.
best seed?
Oh! I think he's saying like the highest seed. There could be a 3 seed. It's a bad 3 level.
Probably 3.
Yeah. Creighton Ceiling.
National championship.
Final 4. Biggest bid stealer. Depending on what the committee thinks of Charleston.
Probably North Texas.
Depending on what the committee thinks of Charleston.
I'm going to pick North Texas or UAB to win Conference USA.
I will say depending on what the committee thinks of Charleston. Whoever wins the Big Ten tournament is a lock to lose in the first round. No, because what if Purdue wins it and they're a 1 seed?
How many years in a row has the Big Ten tournament champion lost in the first round?
1.
2. Illinois won it. Yeah,
Illinois won.
For some reason, I thought Ohio State won it.
They didn't. Wait, did they?
No, Illinois did.
No, they didn't.
In overtime.
Random question, but yeah, exposure.
Yeah, it's strictly TV.
If I'm looking to do a bracket for men's and women's, if I want to get the biggest payout, Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett has a deal that he'll give $1 billion to anyone who has a perfect bracket. So I plan on dropping out of school in a couple months.
Because we're both gonna have perfect brackets.
I can't wait to see how close our bracket is. We can't talk until we do our brackets.
Yeah, I agree. We can't talk until we do our brackets. Here, I put out a Q&A on Twitter.
Yeah, I saw that. Looked like some fun.
You want to answer some of the questions yourself?
Sure.
All right, let's do it. I got 31 of them. Will Antoine Davis break the scoring record?
Yeah. CBI is going to invite them if he needs to break it still.
What does Kenny Payne need to prioritize at Louisville for next season? Do you expect him to address those concerns and see the Cardinals improving, or will fans be in for another long season?
Getting a guard that has some sort of heartbeat.
Where does Michigan stand right now?
They're first 4 out for me, but got some work to do still.
4 or 5 seed that makes a run this year.
Creighton if they get a 5.
Most embarrassing program in the country.
Other than that, UConn probably.
Most embarrassing program in the country.
Hartford probably.
Oh, Hartford, yeah. Georgetown too.
But Louisville and Georgetown are the.
I don't think Louisville. It's a first-year coach.
They're 4-23.
I mean, yeah, it's embarrassing, but Georgetown's more embarrassing because they retained Patrick Ewing after going 0-20.
Yeah, I guess if you're talking program specifically, yeah, Georgetown.
Most fraudulent top-ranked team.
Virginia. It's not even close.
Teams that have the most to lose and gain in March.
Most to lose?
Houston, Gonzaga, UCLA for me.
Houston, UCLA. Yeah, Houston, UCLA, Kansas.
Teams that have the most to gain?
No, most to gain.
Who has the most to gain?
Alabama.
I said Marquette. They're kind of playing with house money.
Yeah.
Predictions for the Big 12 tournament.
I'll probably pick Baylor to win it.
Yeah, offense wins in conference tournaments.
Feels like something that they do. Only thing that'll really matter in the Big 12 tournament is
first 2 days.
Is those bubble teams on the first day.
How well do you think Fordham can do in the A10 tourney, and thoughts on Maryland seeding?
Fordham could probably win it. It's unlikely, but they could. I'd probably say they're a semifinal team.
And Maryland seeding
6 or 7. They're right there right now.
All right, let's keep going. How do you like UCLA?
Second best team in the country. Only team I would consider picking over Houston to win the national championship.
Thoughts on Baylor?
Really good team. Probably doesn't play good enough defense to win it all, but probably could get to a Final Four.
Most likely 15 or 16 seed to win a tournament game. And by the way, I said Youngstown for this.
Yeah, Youngstown.
They just score and they have Dwayne Cohill.
Here's my question for you. If Youngstown played Kansas State in the first round, how long would you look into that matchup?
Well, I don't know a lot about Youngstown State, but I do know that they can't fucking defend. If Youngstown State played like Virginia, which they won't, that would be a different story.
No, unless Youngstown's planning on getting a 12 seed.
If Virginia wins the ACC tournament, who knows?
They're a 3 seed probably.
No, they were just ranked 6th in the country, dude.
Who cares?
I know the AP poll and the selection committee aren't the same people, but sometimes it feels like they
They
are.
were I think 8 or were they 10 in the selection committee a couple weeks ago?
That was last week.
Yeah. Wow.
They could legitimately get a 2 seed.
Yeah, but they've lost 2 games since then. They're at best a 4 seed right now.
Yeah, best of 4 seed right now.
And one of those losses was quad 3.
If a lot of teams lose, they could get a 2 seed. Projected 7 to 11 seeds with the most ability to make a run. I think this is really easy. 3 teams.
7 to 11.
Yeah.
Kentucky. What are you doing? Kentucky, Arkansas, Duke if they're a 7.
Yep.
Otherwise, A&M if they're a 7.
The first 3 were the correct 3. How many Big Ten teams make the Elite 8?
None.
Who's making it farthest in a tournament? Duke, Kentucky, or MSU?
Got to see draw, but probably Duke or Kentucky. MSU's not winning more than 1 game.
Thoughts on Aaron McKee?
Very bizarre question. I mean, like, Temple basketball's been very good before, but like I think McKee's doing just fine.
Yeah, like they could do a lot better. They could do a lot worse. Who's your favorite to win the
Favorite to win the national championship?
I think we know this.
Charleston.
Oral Roberts. Oral Roberts is a guaranteed national champion. They're guaranteed.
I saw someone on Twitter a couple weeks ago say like, oh, like there was a Lenardi projection that had Oral Roberts as the 12th seed in Houston's region, and someone was like, Oral Roberts over Houston in the Sweet 16. I'm like, dude, they played this year and Houston won by 40.
Is UCLA a number 1 seed?
Yeah, as of right now, they are. I would imagine they split with Arizona to end the year.
Team that underperformed but will make a run.
Team that underperformed but will make a run. I mean,
Arkansas, Kentucky.
Kentucky is. I don't count Arkansas because they had other circumstances, but Kentucky.
Which team under 500 has the best chance to win their conference tournament?
I'm assuming they mean in conference, right?
I assume.
Nova.
Nova's not 500. No, not under 500. They're 9-9.
Just Texas Tech then.
Yeah. Thoughts on Creighton heading into March?
Really good team. Could make a run.
Do you think Miami can make a run?
Yeah, sure. Go see what they did last year with those guards.
Yep.
They got the same formula.
Realistic expectation for Iowa.
Fran will lose in the most embarrassing way again for the 4th year in a row.
Will it be ceremonious?
I think we need to take a break, like a 1-week break from that word.
I used it once.
It's stuck.
Where will Patino go?
No, don't worry. You're gonna get a text from me on Friday in St. Louis. Bradley about to go down unceremoniously to Northern Iowa in the corners.
No, because I'm gonna say it to you. Well, no, because Bradley would go to the NIT. But Bowen Bourne is a great player, and I'm excited to see what he can do.
Yeah, a lot of good individual players in the MVC.
Yeah, it was like that last year too.
Yeah, but I thought some of the teams were more well-rounded.
Yeah, Loyola was really good last year.
Northern Iowa had AJ, but they had a bunch of other good kids as well.
Yeah, all right, let's keep going. Where will Patino go?
St. John's.
Favorite KenPom stat?
Favorite KenPom stat? Oh, ref ratings.
Explain to me why Houston and Alabama should be seated higher than Kansas and Purdue entering their conference tournaments.
I don't agree with Bama, but Houston's lost 2 games all year. Like, it's just college basketball. They're allowed a couple slip-ups.
Big Ten tourney prediction.
Indiana wins it. I'll say Michigan makes a run.
I say Indiana and Illinois and Michigan probably make runs.
Purdue is literally just like.
How do I forget what happened to MSU yesterday?
How do you forget what happened to MSU yesterday? Well, if you're allowed to drink.
That's what I said, and then I also said put in NCAA basketball 10.
Yeah, sure. Go watch the Cassius Winston team.
Anything else you want to see?
Was that all the questions you got?
Yeah. Okay, we got a Rothstein tweet.
Like a video?
50 hours until March. #countdown. It's on.
We're so close.
We're going to be live at 12 a.m. on March 1st.
Oh, it's gonna be 11 p.m. for me.
No, it's going to be 12
But,
a.m.
but to be fair, Rothstein tweets like his video like at 12 Eastern, so we're good.
Because that's when March starts. We're going to be live at midnight that day. We're going to be live tomorrow night. We're going to be live
every night.
every single night.
I will find a way to get some space to do streams while I'm in St. Louis.
We will,
and Nashville for that matter.
We will never surrender to the people telling us to stop. This is brackets, bubbles, and bid stealers, and there will be a bracket in 2 weeks. Bubbles will be bursted, and there might even be some bid stealers. For Jonathan Lidskin, I'm Sam Fetterman. We will see you tomorrow.